One, it's your man DJ Seko back with another episode of The Fly Guy. You know, we do everything on the fly and in such a fly manner. And today I'm here with my good brother, Jeremy Johnson of JohnRICH Media. Well, I said of JohnRICH Media. I'm not sure if that's the only thing that you're a part of. So let's get started, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and JohnRICH Media, and we'll go from there. Chop it up.
So, JohnRICH Media is the company that I work at and founded. There's about 3 of us that work there now. So definitely been growing. I started it because I was actually working in the media department at Norfolk Public Schools, and it was around 2008. And so I guess 2009, after the big stock market crash, got that news that I was getting laid off. And, before that, I kind of realized, I knew when I was about 20, a little bit younger than that, I knew I wanted to have my own marketing company. So I had kind of created this plan where I learned how to do everything on the technical side of marketing, video, audio. And so I kind of been looking for volunteer opportunities, amassed some knowledge doing it. I actually was interning with Norfolk Public Schools. Then they hired me. And when I was there, I would just basically do what, a lot of my coworkers were a lot older than I was at the time. The minimum, I think the next person to me was about 10 years. So they would, say to me, hey, we want somebody who can help us with these like cool graphics. And since I was a little bit younger, they would say, you go figure it out. So a lot of the time there, my job was to figure out stuff. And so that's what I did. And from there, I was able to learn graphic design. I learned video. I'd already gotten a certification in Norfolk State in sound engineering, which was also another great experience because they had created this program while I was there, and there was only 2 of us in it. And I was I would basically have the recording studio at Norfolk State to myself. And the professors were cool there to let me, use it all night long. I mean, I'd be there till like 2, 3 in the morning. So I was able to put in like 7, 8 hours of practical engineering and recording while I was doing that. And so it's kind of been always the story is that I've tried to look for things that other people don't want to do. And then, that's where all the opportunity is. So anyway, created the company, and then the layoff happened. And I was like, well, I have to replace this income. And within month 1, it just kind of came. And, so the goal or the mission is always find out what other people don't want to do and what is needed, the utilities, what I call them, utilities, services, and whatever you want to do, whatever field you want to be in, and go after the boring stuff because that's where all the opportunity is.
Go after the boring stuff. Hey, our Miss Bad and Bougie, Sheena Boston. That was a compliment. I like bougie. I went to Hampton University. So
I know. When I am bougie, I am not going to deny that. I am bougie.
All right, and you bad too. You bad too. You're a bad chick. All right. Yeah, so we're hitting with brother Jeremy here, and he's a Spartan. So, okay, I'll leave it at that, being the Hamptonian that I am.
No doubt. I mean, it's called co-opetition, It's like we all on the same team. We just, different strides.
Mm-hmm.
Friendly push.
Yeah, friendly competition.
Behold the green and mold. All right, so now one of the things that's really intrigued me, Sheena, about Jeremy's company is they found a niche. He just talked about how you go after the boring stuff, the things that people don't want to do. So what are some of those things in a media company? Because everybody wants to have their own media company now. Yeah. So what are the boring things that have become more profitable for your company?
So what we mainly focused on was, of course, there's a big push with social media, particularly with companies. And what companies always want to know is how are they spending their money and if it's actually returning a profit. And so what we focused on was a lot of the digital advertising. And so why that is usually often overlooked is you have bigger ad agencies and they want to sell TV and radio. The margins are much larger and it's more of a quality thing. And then when you go to the digital media, Google ads, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon, there's so many different flavors. It gets kind of in the minutia because let's say each thing is a different tool. And so you might be marketing B2B, you might need to use LinkedIn. You might be marketing a restaurant, you might need to use Facebook or Pinterest. And so there's a kind of a lot more on the front end of deciding which medium to use, and then it's a lot more analytical. And so you're not marketing just off of, is this cool? You're marketing off of, does this message resonate with the people who are looking for this particular service? So that's what we kind of fell into when social media ads really came out on Facebook. I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago. One of my clients had us managing their social media. So again, I was like, well, I look at this as an opportunity to kind of lost lead. I'll pay with what I'm making. I'll use that to kind of learn how to market on Facebook and really get immersed in it. And so still, most marketers, they know they need to do some social media marketing. But at this point, I mean, it's a whole universe to itself. And I think this was the first year that display advertising actually surpassed TV. And so,
really,
grow. And again, that's just most people don't even think about. Like, you go on all these sites and you see all these crazy ads all over Google, or you see all these Facebook ads. I mean, nobody really thinks about it. You're spending about, the thing about it is, I mean, then you got connected TVs. It's just so it's not a consolidated network like TV is. So it's kind of the Wild West, and anything that's the Wild West, that means there's opportunities.
Okay.
Interesting. So I'm looking at your website and I see branding, social media, e-commerce, pay-per-click, design, email marketing, web development, and online sales. Yeah. I've always heard that pay-per-click was a Wild West and you never really got your money's worth.
No, so pay-per-click is exactly Facebook ads. The people who will tell you that you don't get your money's worth is because it requires a lot more. I think there's not enough education. And so a lot of people say they're used to the TV model. TV model, let's say a car company, they'd be like, I'm going to spend $100,000 a month on ads. We're going to pump that. And then boom, we expect to make $400,000 in car sales. So the reason that used to work was because if I put up $100,000 on ads, how many other people can compete with me? And if there's only 4 stations, there's a limited supply of individuals who are marketing. Mm-hmm. Online, I can have a budget of $200. I can have a budget of $6,000. I can have a budget of $100,000 a month. And if I'm marketing with different niches, then I'm hitting different people. Why people would say it doesn't work is you can't just advertise to a person one time online because their attention span is so short. So you have to introduce a lot of what people would probably say are annoying tactics, like retargeting and things like that, which will remind the person. And so, like, I think with Amazon or e-commerce, it said that a person might see a product or ad, at least 20, 30 times before they convert. And so it requires a lot more, follow through, but there's also a lot more technology involved as well. So the other thing with the pay-per-click, you have to operate more like a programmer a lot of times in your efforts because, you have things like, follow-on sequences and emails. There's just a lot of marketing automation with a lot of these systems now. Like, for example, we have one client and we created some Facebooks. They sell these luxury homes. People see the ad, they opt in on a form on Facebook. That sends them to a CRM system that kicks them an automated text message that then sends them to another page. And then we can go through and kind of look at the behavior, how they're interacting with the content before the client actually picks up the phone and gives them a call. That also means the client themselves, see, before, if a person just saw a TV ad, they're like, oh, I want to go, I'm going to go see this. Customers are doing a lot more research online. And so your lead times are a lot longer. So you have to ask yourself, if I'm selling a $5 product, then this might not be the best thing for me to try to market with pay-per-click. If I'm selling a $50,000 product or $30,000 product, I have one client, he sells a relatively high healthcare product. Mm-hmm. This product moves at $30,000, and usually because he's selling to business owners, they might buy 2 or 3 of them. So for him, he might be able to spend several $1,000s a month on a pay-per-click campaign, but you know, if one converts a month, he's already made 10,000. You know, he's probably made a 30% margin on his product with just one. The pay-per-click makes sense for him. So the challenge is the low margin businesses are kind of stuck because the person who's doing digital marketing isn't going to come cheap, you know, because it's a specialized skill set. And then you have to have enough margin in there, and you got to have a high enough budget just to get the coverage. So that's why oftentimes there's just not enough coverage, or they just might not be targeting properly because, you know, unlike again with a TV spot, you might, or let's just compare and contrast. A car company would advertise to a general audience on TV, say we got this end of year sale. Online, they're going to buy data from, or they're going to retarget based off people who've already done searches for cars. And so that's why if you go look at F-150, you might start seeing F-150 ads all over online. And that's to say, well, we're going to spend our dollars on someone. Then you might start seeing Silverado ads. But that way, because you're targeting off actual search behavior. And that's probably actually going to get a little more aggressive since there's a new law that's just getting passed to allow the telecoms to actually sell your search data now as well. But Google and Facebook have been doing it for years. So it's really going to get great for marketers coming shortly. And then you'd be surprised. Can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
I was saying, so I am being followed by Facebook.
For sure. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, on my equation, I don't have a problem with it because, you know, it is a subsidized service. So at the end of the day, they, you know, give your product for free. You become the product. You don't like it. Right?
Wow.
You know, I get it. There's things you can do, go to incognito mode and other things if you don't really want them following you, but you're going to get ads. So wouldn't you rather have things that interest you versus things you don't care about?
Now, I have a question. What are some things that maybe like a new organization can do to get more exposure using online marketing?
Video. I think video is it. You know, we work with a lot of politicians, some established, some newer, and I like politicians because they're kind of the ultimate product, you know, because they're a brand within their persona. So it's like the video is the way to introduce and personalize everything. So I think, you know, even just podcasts, things like this, Facebook Live is really killing it. We have a church client, and we're doing a lot of live streaming. We've been doing it about 3 years now. And Facebook Live allowed us to go from, they started allowing professional streaming solutions like live streaming to plug in and multi-stream in YouTube and Facebook Live. And ever since we did that, we've had a 3x to 4x increase in views per Sunday. I mean, before we were averaging about 600 views per service. There's 2 services a week. And now we see about 1,500 to 1,200, sometimes even 2,000 per service. And these are 2 to 3 hour services. And we see that every week. So, I mean,
wow.
Definitely, I mean, yeah, it's definitely helped. So I think Facebook Live is really great. Also, I went to a conference, political conference, and they had some rep from Facebook, and they were, you know, Facebook's really, 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 really aggressive going after Facebook Live as an acquisition, or just some net. It's really acquisition for marketers, you know, because I think the next thing they want to do is start allowing injectable ads inside of Facebook Lives. And so they see that as a real opportunity for growth and to keep people on the platform. So while they are doing that, they're going to give you a lot more leeway to get eyeballs. So I think Facebook Live, especially if you're doing something interesting, is a great tool.
All right. So what are some of the dangers with this new freeway that's opening up?
Wild West. I mean, the Wild West and unregulated things, risk. But I like risk, I like things like that, because when regulation isn't there, that allows the little guy to get in and try to make some money. You start regulating things, then, you got to have secret access, and it just creates more barriers. But for me personally, I'm okay with the risk, because, I consider myself to be a super capitalist. And so, if you have the Wild West is where opportunity exists. So,
you're a what type of capitalist?
Super capitalist.
All right. Well, all right. Well, then, has capitalism been helpful or hurtful to our community?
Helpful. I mean, capitalism. I give everybody this example. I remember about 2 years ago, I had a flat tire on the garage where I work. And I had an SUV at that point, and it was super flat, and it was kind of on a hill. So I needed one of those industrial grade jacks. This was 1990s. I would have had to wait till the next day to go get that. Because of capitalism and Walmart, I was able to go to a location at 3 a.m., get the jack that I needed, and rescue my car the same day I had the problem. That's capitalism. Because that means that any product can be brought to you at any time, because somebody's trying to fulfill an opportunity. Back to the point, capitalism is a tool. See, what happens is there's responsibility that comes with risk. And if you don't educate yourself, or if you don't approach it correctly, you can be taken advantage of. Yes, there are definitely some industries that require protections for people. But to me, I would always like to see less protections, because I think it encourages people to take more responsibility, which then allows them to be more self-fulfilled at the end of the day. You're on mute again.
Are you finding that the people are taking that responsibility, or are they shirking the responsibility?
I think it just depends on the individual. I think it's also who you surround yourself with. But I think there's a lot of people who take responsibility. I think there's some people who may not. What I do think is that when people are giving constraints, like let's just say it was an environment where there was more responsibility, I think people would dedicate more brain activity to, maybe seeing that they have to be more careful, because there's a little less regulation, which I think it creates creativity, Again, there's pitfalls and there's downsides. But, you definitely have to have protections for people. I'm not saying like I just want it to be crazy, but a little less would be better.
All right. Well, like I said, bro, you sound like a Republican. So
I'm not necessarily a Republican.
All right. So what, politically, where do you fit?
I consider myself, I don't usually tell, what I consider myself as a libertarian. And why I say that is, there's things I agree with Republicans, there's things I agree with Democrats. I work with both parties, because, if you work in politics, you got to understand both sides. So, yeah, I think that both bring good ideas. I tend to, agree with a lot of the things that Democrats push for on a local level. I tend to agree with a lot of the business policies and fiscal responsibility that Republicans push for on a more state and national level. And I think you got to have a combination of it too, because, sometimes I think cities can shoot themselves in the foot by trying to be too conservative with their dollars. You have to invest to make your city different. There's some cities might say they won't want to invest in public transportation or different things, which you could be hindering people to come to your city. And I think cities have to fight for every, what they get. And so they have to be innovative in what they're doing. Flip side, I think, the thing about states that I've learned from working on a statewide campaign is that states have to have a balanced budget. And so when you have to have a balanced budget, this is something I did not know. you got like Virginia. And so one thing I've learned is the reason we're paying for a lot of tolls and hot lanes and we can't pay for the transportation system in Virginia is because a lot of our dollars are going to Medicaid and the retirement system. And that's because Virginia has to have a balanced budget. And so when you really sit there and think about it, that's hard choices that have to be made. And so if Virginia's economy starts to boom, we kind of are hamstrung because if we already got gridlock in Hampton Roads and gridlock in Northern Virginia and the economy goes 3%, well, we're going to be sitting in traffic instead of 2 hours. We're going to be sitting in traffic for 3 or 4 hours. So great, we're making more money. But then they're going to institute hot lanes that are going to have to be based off of higher fees. So a lot of your gains are going to be ate up because you're driving on a road system. And the reality of the situation is roads are the responsibility of the state. Medicaid is mandated by the federal government, and they don't give the states a lot of leeway. And so just pure the constitutions of the state, the roads are the responsibility, while Medicaid may not necessarily be. Just saying we should give states more flexibility and not try to do a one-size-fits-all for all 50 states so that they can kind of have more flexibility in how they want to use their dollars. And so when you really start getting into the real issues, I mean, there's a lot of, oftentimes we look at things so national. And I think when you really start looking at state government, you start to see the intricacy of what makes every state different. And you really start to say, wow, well, at the end of the day, the budget has to like equal one. We got to start having real conversations about what are we going to pay for. And if a lot of our funds are going to liabilities as opposed to investments like infrastructure, we have to be honest with ourselves to say, well, as a state, we're not setting ourselves up for the future because we're investing so many of our actionable dollars in plugging holes and responsibilities as opposed to investing that can bring in more business like in North Carolina. You know, North Carolina is investing heavily in infrastructure. And that's why they've got, companies coming all day. And, Florida and Texas, they're doing a lot of things to encourage business to come there. And you see, that's why everybody wants to move to those places. People come to Virginia because this is where the government is. But we got so many resources here, but we're not, to me, it seems like we're not acting as proactive as maybe we can to do some of the things that other states who don't have the same level of natural resources we have here are. And I think that can be a problem in the future if we don't address it.
All right. Interesting. And so once again, that's thinking like a Republican. I'm messing with you. That's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's kind of interesting how you have to put infrastructure over taking care of the poor and elderly.
Well, if you put infrastructure in place, it helps everybody, right?
Right. I get it.
That means you got more of a public transit system. And so people can get to work on time. Guess what? They can make more money.
Well, if they're poor and elderly, they ain't going to work.
Sure, but they got to go to the doctor's office and things like that. And if you put infrastructure in place, at the end of the day, you got to have the roads, right? And so if you have a robust infrastructure system, you can have low-price transit options for people because a free market is going to supply. And so you can have a lot of medical transport companies that'll take elderly people to go see their doctors and things like that. And it can be priced nicely. I mean, the thing is, you look at the Portsmouth Tunnel, that's more a higher tax on poor people and lower income people because someone who $2 a day, who's making $100,000, that's nothing. Someone who's making, $2,000 a day, a month, that's a lot of money. And so if that was paid for with a gas tax or something like that, that wouldn't hit those individuals so hard. You think about people in Northern Virginia who probably make, $60,000, $70,000 a year, but they got to pay $12 and $20 to go on bridges and things like that. That's a tax on the people who are the most vulnerable. And so, all right, those people are going to get ahead when they're basically just working to pay to go to work.
Wow, you good with that political talk, bro. So is that your lane, man? The politics marketing?
We're on, this is our 8th campaign. We're on 2 right now. I'm not really into sports like that. I'm into politics. There's a lot of similarities in between the two. And so it's the competitive nature, there's the creativity, there's lots of technology that's involved in it. You know, a lot of this, I mean, people will be surprised. I mean, there's a solution out there that, you know, if I have a person's name, you can go look up and see their voting history. You can't see how they voted, but you can see when they voted. And so there's a lot of strategies built off of was this person voted in the last 3 elections, how likely are they to vote, where do they live, based off their interests, how do you market to them. Yeah, and it's kind of a Wild West again. So those Wild West allow a lot of different strategies and creativity.
Interesting. So you can make me president if I hired you.
Yeah, with enough money. I could throw.
What would the numbers be like to put somebody into the governor's office?
So there's a governor's race going on right now, and there were some numbers that came out recently. The 2 front runners have both at this point raised about $3 million to try to win these primaries. And I mean, I think one gentleman, he's got about, on the Republican side, I think he's got about $1.5 million left that he's been running since the middle of 2015, 2016. I think he'd raised about $2 million before the end of 2016, and then he's just raised another $1.5 million. I think he spent about $700,000 of that. On the Democratic side, I believe that front runner there has raised like $3 million. And these are small numbers of, because if you look at what will probably happen after the 2 primaries in June, if you look at the last gubernatorial race between McAuliffe and Cuccinelli, it was like $80 million was spent. So, and I was talking to someone today, and they were telling me that they heard a number like $500,000 to develop 6 television spots. So that's the production side of the equation. Then you got the advertiser side of the equation. And then you got the buys. I mean, you're probably talking to, $10, $15 million ad buys start happening. I haven't gotten that involved yet, but that's the kind of numbers that I've been hearing. I mean, you start to look at the numbers in politics, and you're just like, wow. And then you have these super PACs that the thing about Virginia politics is that our politicians, I think, like Georgia with the race they just had, our money can come from anywhere. So in the U.S., so let's just say you're Democrats, you're progressive, and you knew a whole bunch of people over in San Francisco who are taking interest in making sure Democrats win. You could raise $20, $30, $40 million. Let's say you was a Republican and you knew somebody, who was in Montana that was a billionaire. They could give you whatever. And you armed up and ready to go, And so that's what it seems like the future of politics. What I think is the acquisition cost for voters is going to get higher. Because to me, just looking at things, it just seems like people just don't seem to be as interested in politics. I mean, on a state level, I think nationally people are interested. But the trend line to me is I don't know if millennials will be as interested in the long run. We just got so much going on. But government's a complex business. I mean, it's very complex. I mean, you try to follow with some of these politicians who voted, they might be a Democrat or a Republican, but you go look at their voting record, they're all over the map, And so, and then you think about municipal government, and if you live in a county, we don't have that in Virginia, but in other places that have a city, then they have the county over top. They now have state delegates, and they have state senators. Then they have, state government, and they got federal senators, federal reps. It's a lot of layers. And so one of my really good friends told me, people of privilege you're privileged to be able to keep up with politics. People who have that ability, they got a lot more time and less other real world responsibilities. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So how do we put ourselves? Go ahead, Queen.
I was going to say, is there a way for the political system to grab the attention of the millennials? Huh? Say that again.
Why would they want it? And my gut reaction is, why would they want that?
Well, because at some point those millennials will be the elderly people. I mean, they won't be young forever.
Okay, but let's just say, for example, there was a race that I looked up one day. I think about $3 million was spent on a district of 200,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I think about 4,000 people made that decision for that election. So, I mean, I would say, I think it would be smart for anybody to engage more people.
Mm-hmm.
I think people who are in politics, again, I'm just being objective here, if they know that there's a certainty of a certain amount of people coming to vote, and they know that those people, you look at, okay, perfect example, you look at someone like Maxine Waters. I use her as an example.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't ever really have to worry about anybody coming against her. She represents Watts, probably like 400,000 or 500,000 people she represents. And I probably bet you go look at her numbers, probably 20,000 vote. And she knows who those 20,000 are. They're going to get their needs met every time. And I mean, you can't blame the politicians, because if you go to their town halls and you're engaged, they're going to answer your questions. And so the responsibility is on those citizens as well to hold people accountable and to ask for things. I mean, I think politicians get a bad rap. But what I have seen is it's a lot more complex than what people think. And if you actually ask a lot of them, if you go through the right channels, they're very helpful. A lot of them are very helpful and will help you execute on a lot of things you're looking to do. You got to ask. You got to be there. And, maybe you ask them, well, how can I help you get your word out, I mean, it's just like anything. People want to, to me, what I've seen is you got usually two types of personalities that become politicians. Very gregarious person who's a people person. They like being around people, and they like helping people. And then you got the other kind who's kind of, I'd say, more the nerd, the legislative nerd, and they really like delving into the policies. And again, those people, they're interested in how these laws that are made affect things. So I think a lot of times, and a lot of these people are well off, so they want to help people, but it's got to go through the system and hold them accountable.
All right. So what do we do with President Donald Trump?
Hold them accountable. I think he has some good things and he has some bad things, and I think with anything, I'm a optimist in everything in life. You have to look at the good things, He said that he wants to focus on infrastructure. I think that's admirable. I mean, he's saying he wants to focus on infrastructure with things like Baltimore and Detroit. And you got to, if you sit there and objectively look at it and, remove emotions, which, again, in politics, I don't have emotions. He's a home builder. I mean, he's a builder. So if a builder is telling you he wants to go into infrastructure, probably something he's very good at. And so what one of my friends said, I think it's kind of a good guarantee to people, what do you think Donald Trump's ultimate goal is? And I think ultimately his goal is he would like to be on money. He would like to have monuments made of him. The only way you can get monuments, and you see it, as soon as I say it, you can see it, right? You can see a dollar bill with Donald Trump's face on it. And so when you think about that, the only way you get your face on money in America is you are a really good president. And so that's an encouraging thing to think about. You're not going to be on money doing a terrible job.
That is very true. That is very true.
All right. Well, let's bring it local. Here in VA, we have a couple of campaigns running. I know you can't specifically talk about your particular clients, but what should some of these politicians do to get the Virginia voters out and moving?
Oh, I mean, well, at the end of the day, I think you got to talk about issues that really matter to people, you know.
Like what?
Jobs, making more money, infrastructure, opportunity. Some people it's climate change. I think social justice for some people. I think prison reform is, you know, drug addictions. Those are real issues, you know. Those are people facing real problems, you know. And I think what I do like that I've seen on both sides of the aisle is it seems like both parties are now, especially on a state level, they're both now starting to be more sympathetic towards people who have drug issues. And they're not trying to demonize people as much for that. And they're trying to say, you know, because that's a real thing, is like if people, and people going to jail, it's like if we keep sending people to jail and people have drug addictions and we don't try to address these things, I mean, we're wasting a lot of the talent that we have. And so, and then I think even with education, it's good to hear Republicans talk more about education. Democrats have been doing it for a while. It seems like there's a lot more discussion around issues. I mean, there was a Republican debate last week, and yeah, there was a lot of good discussions about, you know, education options and mental health, and these are things you haven't heard Republicans really talk about before, and I think they need to talk about that. And
okay.
Talk more about, you know, jobs get created, but are these jobs that pay well? You know, that's what needs to be discussed.
Yeah, so we definitely have some things we need to push as our agenda. We like to make sure as we wrap up, we have about 4 minutes left, that there's a ROI for our listeners, a return on their investment, their time investment. So what's 3 things that people need to know that they don't know and that you can tell us?
Well, first, I'd say, like, you know, every business, they go after the unsexy, you know. My office is in an incubator, and so we see a lot of different businesses come through here, and there are a lot of different opportunities and different things people are working on. And I can tell you, there are some businesses that are killing it. And you would see this person on the street, and you would probably think they didn't have that much money, and they are loaded. Like there's one guy, he built a website that a specific test that the Navy has. He built a website, runs business out of home. He's crushing it. You know, there's other people who've got like security companies, you know, the security guards crushing it. You know, and you'd see people and you wouldn't even know what they're doing. I mean, they drive regular cars, regular dress. You would just not even know, you know, you wouldn't even know it. So I'd always say, you know, I use the analogy, my favorite company in the world, you know, facetiously speaking, but definitely one of them is XYZ. Mm-hmm. You've seen them before. You're on mute.
XYZ?
It sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a Japanese company that makes all the zippers that go on everybody's pants. And everybody thinks about it, but man, everything kind of has zippers, right? And so whoever owns that company, I'm sure they can drive whatever car they want, whatever they want, and probably don't have any competition, you know, because who else wants to get in the zipper business?
Okay. All right. So that's number 1. Give me 2 more. We got a minute left.
Yeah, I'll speed this up. You always got to try. Every day should be like a new day. You're learning something. I mean, that's the key. In the information age, of course, knowledge is power. And so every day you got to add more arrows to your arsenal. And then the last thing, which I've really learned, is just being healthy, because, you know, you got to exercise, and exercise is not just about weight. It's definitely about, you know, the mental energy. And the better you feel, the more creative you are. And so I feel like if you just come back, the more determined you are. If you're determined and you work hard and you put your mind on something, you'll be successful. That's just the bottom line. You don't even have to be that smart. You gotta know how to do basic arithmetic. And then if you work hard and look for something that people want, find a market, there's going to be a reward on the opposite side.
Wow. And I think, your point about looking for the unsexy need is always going to be a market. That's beautiful, bro. Miss Bad and Bougie, you have any last words you want to drop before we close out?
No. He had great options that he offered. Great options.
Right. I think so as well. Well, brother Jeremy, man, from JohnRICH Media, we wish you a lot of prosperity, and thank you for being on the Fly Guy Show with the Fly Guy and the Fly Girl, and I guess you honorary Fly Guy today. So peace, prosperity, and keep doing big things.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.